All right, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody, especially to my Catholics, Catholic gang gang. And it's going to be a tremendously fun episode because the internet just keeps interneting. It's my favorite thing. Everyone's funny. And obviously, with this Justin Baldoni case, there have been a lot of straight husbands, extremely heterosexual men who are being ruthlessly stalked and pursued and yelled at by their wives over this entire saga. Like, you have to watch this, look at this. And one of those husbands has instantly issued a verdict. So his wife must have just been going through everything. And he was like, I know what's going on here. It's very funny. You have to see his video. Plus, I'm going to take you through another court update. Bryan Freedman just completely savaged the New York Times, who want to be dismissed from the lawsuit because now everybody's like, ooh, poor me. Also, Tucker Carlson, if you saw this on Friday, he covered the Becoming Brigitte series, and it really is just the story that will not quit. And it makes me so happy because of things that have gone on behind the scenes. And it serves Macron right, hiring American PR firms to go after Americans and hiring lawyers to go after Americans. It just does not work, my friend. In the end, the truth will win. All that coming up on Candace. Truth is king, my friends. Christ is king. All right. So on Friday, we left you guys off. I was bringing you up to date on everything that was strange about Hugh Jackman. And I was genuinely so shocked when I got to the end of the show and somebody gave a question and said, ha, 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 she keeps saying Hugh Hefner. I swore I nailed that. So I'm just going to go ahead and have to really blame that on late stage pregnancy brain, for which there is clearly no cure. But yes, regarding Hugh Jackman, I was kind of letting you guys know there have been some rumors for a very long time that don't look like they are just rumors. And throughout this series, I have been trying to, like, I guess you could say, find that line, carefully weaving through that line to kind of let you guys know that there may be some sociological factors at play here, that there's more going on emotionally with Ryan Reynolds than meets the eye, his various bromances, et cetera, et cetera. And the only reason that that's relevant at all, by the way, it's not like this is the 80s and someone's hiding in the closet. It's just because we're all very invested in what a lot of women are invested in here, by the way, is trying to understand the emotional aspects here. Why is he so angry? That is what was so shocking about being able to read these text messages. It was just his anger and the amount of control that he asserted. It felt like we were watching IDTV, like a murder mystery. We didn't know why Ryan was doing and saying the things that he was doing to such a nice person. We didn't understand the daddy issues. Now we know, but he's got all these daddy issues, but what's actually happening here? And why are all of these buried issues that he has culminating into what can only be described as a figurative drive-by shooting of Justin Baldoni and Justin Heath? Okay, so we get it. Ryan is angry. He has been angry since he was a child. We had his teacher in Canada confirm that to us, that he was displaying sociopathic tendencies early on, allegedly. So I've been kind of slow walking you guys to understand that there could be a source of that anger. But I was trying to be nice. Women, we are naturally more compassionate than men on these things. But this husband on TikTok, he just sliced through everything with precision immediately. He's like, we're not going to slow walk people anymore. We don't need to slow walk Candace. He didn't say Candace at all. I just inserted myself in there like I'm inserting myself in this lawsuit. But he's absolutely hilarious. I guess his wife was hunting him. He just looked into it peripherally and was ready to enter a verdict. So let's listen to what this TikToker had to say. His handle, by the way, in case you want to follow him, is Put the Dog on the Phone. Here is his assessment.
I can tell you what's happening here. I have the answer, right? Normally, this is not the sort of thing I would give two about, but every woman in my family is obsessed. So apparently, like, junior high kids, they've, like, leaked all these text messages. And here's one supposedly from Ryan Reynolds. And what's that last line? What's that last line? Oh, he's gay. Oh, yeah, see, straight guys don't say that. Straight guys don't say that. And that's, I'm not some, like, conservative, and I'm like, men gotta be men. Just straight guys don't say that. They don't say that. And as soon as you look at him in that light, you're like, yeah. And on a side note, I worked in Los Angeles for years and spent a lot of time in West Hollywood doing jobs. Gay guys are great. I love gay guys. There's also bad ones because they're just normal people. I have zero problem. There's nothing wrong with being gay in any way, but he definitely is. Oh, he is. This is from 2017. So Ryan Gosling wins an award, and as a bit, Ryan Reynolds, Andrew Garfield. That's funny. That's funny to steal Ryan Gosling's little moment there. I'm willing to commit to a bit. An impassioned kiss? Okay, Exhibit C. So when you get a beard, a woman that will disguise your gayness, going younger is better. Not only young, but objectively stupid. She's not very intelligent compared to him. He's very quick-witted. He's also very charismatic, like a gay guy. Gay men they have a light in their eyes that straight men don't have. We don't. There's a twinkle, okay? Gay men look like that. I've spent enough time around them. I have great gaydar. Straight men look like that. And you might go, oh, look at his shirt. Oh, look at his hair. No. Look at his dead eyes. Straight. Gay. So that's all that's happening. He's a closeted gay man. And that's just, when you deny yourself that truth, you're just going to do weird, crazy shit. And everyone around you is going to have a hard time because you're like trying to fit this square piece in a circle.
Straight men have dead eyes. There's nothing behind the eyes. And his assessment is that gay men have a twinkle. And it's what he's saying is what I was trying to introduce in a more polite way by taking you guys through these like lavender marriages that actually happen in Hollywood. I know they happen for a fact. And there's just something here, this underlying anger that doesn't make sense. The Deadpool scene was kind of just a little overdone for me. The relationship with Hugh Jackman was kind of overdone for me. And I just find it hilarious that this guy just looks at the circumstance, reads the messages, and is like, okay, I know what's going on here. And now, but instead we've got to go through this court case and it's got to be like $400 million and it's all crazy, all because Ryan is not happy with who he is on the inside. That's really what it comes down to. He is not an honest person with himself. And so he's just become a very vicious person who's lashing out in a variety of ways. That's what I would probably agree with. Anyways, I also just want to show you that because it's absolutely hilarious, but I also want to provide you guys with an update on a major piece of the lawsuit here. Let's not forget that the New York Times is being sued because a lot of important filings have been happening. So obviously they hit him hard: defamation, false light, invasion of privacy. I'm speaking about Justin's team when they filed that $200 million lawsuit against the New York Times. And in response, the New York Times filed to dismiss the case altogether, citing that they had fair reporter privilege. Okay, so what is fair reporter privilege? This is the exact definition so that you guys know. Fair reporter privilege, also known as public proceedings or public records privilege, protects news media from libel lawsuits when they publish fair and accurate accounts of official documents or statements that were made during official proceedings. Okay, so I would claim fair reporter privilege as I'm going through all of these Jessica Mann emails, the Harvey Weinstein series. I'm just reading from the actual filings, right? And so they're like, oh, that's all we were doing. We got the CRD complaint and we just, we want to be dismissed from this because we're just reporting the facts here. But Bryan Freedman and co. argue back that the New York Times has completely abandoned that privilege. I just love this photo of Bryan Freedman, by the way. Bring it back up. It's me. I don't know why he says so much here. It's just like, it's not going down like this. So Bryan Freedman's team hit them back pretty hard and basically said that they should not be dismissed. Obviously, I very much agree with them, having looked through everything. And I just want to tell you, I love legal filings. It's weird how much I love legal filings. Like, I read them before I go to bed. I probably in another life could have been a very good lawyer, or at least one who really enjoyed being a lawyer is what I could say. And it's just the way as soon as you read the first sentence of his statement, and I'm assuming Bryan Freedman wrote this up, it's great. It's phenomenal. Listen to the sentence. A pietistic bastion of the media establishment, the New York Times has long presumed itself beyond accountability. Not here. A pietistic bastion of the media establishment, the New York Times, Like, why have I not called anything about a pietistic bastion? You holier than thou, New York Times. You have long thought that you were above, not here. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I am in. So they go on, and this is just the preliminary statement to call out the journalists who were involved in this, Megan Twohey. It reads, who co-wrote the article along with Mike McIntyre and Julie Tate, purporting to tell the world, quote unquote, what really happened, specifically that the Wayfarer parties orchestrated a retaliatory campaign to tarnish Lively. It goes on and says, the press enjoys the fair report privilege when faithfully relaying the contents of a filed complaint. But that is not what the New York Times did. It admittedly based its article and video on its reporter's review of, quote unquote, thousands of pages of documents and expressly credited Lively's claims, framing them as having been verified by the New York Times' own investigation. In doing so, the New York Times forfeited the fair report privilege. So right off the bat, that is accurate, right? So when we saw this article in the New York Times, they were not just saying like, here's what she filed. It was like inside a smear campaign. And we're telling you that this has been all coordinated by Justin Baldoni. Like we've confirmed this because we read the messages ourselves. Okay, well, you want to play Sherlock Holmes, you're going to get sued like Sherlock Holmes. So it goes on page 2 to say the New York Times contends that the article and video merely reported facts, and thus the New York Times is shielded by the fair report privilege. Yet in the same breath, the New York Times also insists that its defamatory statements are not factual at all, but rather hyperbolic and non-actionable opinion. So what he's saying there essentially is the New York Times and their filing to be dismissed, they did things that kind of ran into each other. Well, first and foremost, they were saying we have fair reporter privilege, but then they also argued that these were just opinions. Well, which is it? If it's fair reporter, that means you're sticking to the facts. And if you're saying that you were just being hyperbolic and it's not actionable, then that means that you were not just sticking to the facts, which makes their lawsuit relevant. You know, then they get into the background of the case. We already know that. That's all available for us to read through. He goes through that. But he speaks about how the New York Times coordinated the publication with Lively's filings of the CRD complaint on December 20th. The article continues, the documents show an additional playbook for waging a largely undetectable smear campaign in the digital era. And as admitted in the article, the New York Times relied not just on the CRD complaint itself for reporting, but on thousands of pages of documents that the New York Times reviewed. Video likewise confirmed the New York Times statements were based on private text messages and other documents that the New York Times attained that revealed what really happened. Again, he is citing their own article, which says, we involved ourselves so much that we didn't just rely on a public filing. We also took a look at text message correspondences. Again, you're Sherlock Holmesing it now. You're looking at these private correspondences and you are reporting that to the public, and not just reporting it in a manner where you're saying, okay, I'm going to be neutral and non-biased and just deliver the facts that this is a text message. You entitled the article Inside a PR Smear Machine. And of course, therefore libeled Justin Baldoni and Heath. So there's no question here in my eyes, of course. That's if I'm the judge. And apparently, like I tell you, my lawyer keeps telling me that I'm not. It seems weird. Here is where you really get, though, to the meat and bones of this. First and foremost, his argument that he makes at the bottom of page 5 is we have met the legal standard here for this case to go on, meaning that we'd like to move now towards discovery. We've given you ample inferences here to let you know that we believe, including down to the metadata, which isn't even required, by the way. You just kind of need to make a slight inference that the court can believe, and then they'll let you move to some sort of like light discovery phase. He's saying we have provided so much, we have met that standard over and over again. But the meat and the bones of this is going to come down to jurisdiction, and both sides are arguing about this. Now, I have been sued for defamation before, and this is really crucial, actually, which state laws you are going to abide by as this case moves through the courts. And they're saying we want this to happen in California. By they, I mean Bryan Freedman's team. They're like, we want this to happen in California. And the New York Times is saying, hey, we are the New York Times. This whole article happened in New York. We want this to take place in New York. And why is that jurisdiction different? So important? Because in every state, the defamation laws are different. So for me, I love being in Tennessee. We have very strong anti-SLAPP laws, as does California. They have anti-SLAPP laws. If you bring a lawsuit against me and I'm actually telling the truth, you're not just going to keep me hung up in court because you're going to have to pay for it. Well, he wants this to be in New York, and the reason why he wants that is because they're going after the New York Times for false light and invasion of privacy. California recognizes that claim and New York does not. So he spends a lot of time in here trying to assert why this should be in California. He also says that California extends no greater protection to opinions than the Constitution, whereas New York, it goes above and beyond the Constitution, trying to protect these reporters who often engage in smearing. So that's why the New York Times likes to be in New York, because they lie a lot, and they lie so much that they sometimes get people put into prison. If you look at the Harvey Weinstein case, that's my viewpoint on how that went down with the New York Times. And so you want to be in a state that's even more favorable than the Constitution when it comes to your ability to defame someone. He makes a very strong argument, so it's going to be interesting to see which way the judge goes, because his argument that they should abide by California defamation laws is because, first and foremost, 2 of the corporations listed in this lawsuit are domiciled in California. So that's It Ends With Us Movie LLC. That is a Californian company. Also, the agency group PR. That's Melissa Nathan. He's saying that they all conduct business in California. We know this. The PR firms are all based in California. Those are his clients. These are the plaintiffs. And he is also arguing that, and he cites a lot of case law here, a lot of jurisprudence, that all of these people were harmed in California, obviously, right? It Ends With Us Movie LLC being there. Justin Baldoni lives there. Heath lives there. The PR agents work there. So when you harmed their reputation, you harmed their ability to work in California. And like I said, he cites a lot of case examples, which you have to do, which prove that the court has settled the matter and said, listen, if the punch went out in New York, but the punch was felt in California, then we're going to do this according to California laws. And that's what he is essentially saying. And he takes a look at the New York Times argument, and they're saying that the New York law should apply, obviously, because it was entirely reported from and conceived in New York. Bryan hits back at that and says, no, you can't just say stuff. You can't just say stuff on the internet, okay? You can't just say what you want to say. We need discovery to prove that. We don't know who you coordinated with. We don't know where the article was typed. We don't know anything yet. And that's why we are requesting this limited discovery to go through that and to be able to determine that. So it's super interesting. Like I said, tons of case law. Moves on and just essentially asserts again why the defamation claim should not be dismissed. Hits hard at what it actually means, or what you have to obtain to be granted that fair report privilege. And again says that it's measured by the natural and probable effect on the mind of the average reader, meaning that if we read that article, did we believe that that was a fair and true report of the proceeding? Yeah, obviously people did believe that, because this is the reason why half of the It Ends With Us gang were like, read the complaint, because they thought it was true and it represented a fair and accurate reporting of what the CRD complaint was. And then it turned out that no, actually the New York Times completely lied to the public, included some other inferences, pretend that they had done the investigation and were backing up that claim, which ended up falling apart marvelously, obviously, when Bryan Freedman then dropped all the text messages. And so that is what he is saying. A report is not fair and true, it says at the bottom of page 13, if the publication deviates from the judicial proceeding such that it, quote, this is again from another decision, produces a different effect on the reader. And that is what happened with the New York Times piece. It produced a different effect on the reader than if we had just read the CRD complaint, obviously. So that's really interesting. A big piece of this, obviously, I am invested. I want to see the New York Times go down for several reasons. Obviously, looking into this Harvey Weinstein case, now people are speaking about that. I actually just did Piers Morgan earlier today, and we spoke about it, and people are reaching out being like, I'm so surprised that like everything I knew about Harvey Weinstein case is not accurate. And yeah, it's the same exact reporter, Megan Twohey. And so I just feel like right now we're just in generation truth. Like a lot of stuff is happening. People are waking up and recognizing that a lot of people that have been smeared and libeled, we've given the press so much power to take people down. absent any facts. And the Justin Baldoni case is not unlike the Harvey Weinstein case in that way, and in only that way, obviously. Justin Baldoni is a little puppy, and I would probably say Harvey Weinstein is not a puppy. He's not a puppy at all. But he did get taken down by the media beast, and that's what these two cases share in common. So I will keep you guys totally abreast on everything that is taking place with that lawsuit, and I will continue to ignore my lawyer who keeps asserting that I'm not privy to that, or I'm not a part of the case. And eventually I will be. Eventually I will be walking into that courtroom one day, hugging Bryan Freedman and Justin Baldoni and everyone, Melissa, Nathan, and we're all going to be so happy when we win. I'm probably going to cry. I don't know about you guys. I'm probably going to cry. Anyways, let me tell you about, before we get to Tucker Carlson, Tax Network USA, because the IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. And April 15th is fast approaching. It's more aggressive than ever now, the IRS. In 2025, enforcement has ramped up. So if you owe back taxes or you have unfiled returns, waiting is not an option. The longer you do, the worse it gets. Ignoring your tax troubles is the worst thing you could possibly do. Getting ahead of them now is the smart move, but you should never contact the IRS alone. Instead, let the experts at Tax Network USA handle it for you, because not all tax resolution companies are the same. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS, meaning they know exactly which agents to deal with and which ones to avoid. And they have proven strategies which help settle tax problems in your favor. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. So talk with one of their strategists today, because it's free. You call 1-800-958-1000, or you can visit tnusa.com/Candace. That's tnusa.com/Candace. Also, today is your lucky day because it's Field of Greens for St. Patty's Day. You're going to kick that off at the St. Patty's Day sale. Right now, my viewers will get 30% off if you use code LUCK. We don't always eat as healthy as we should, but Field of Greens has your back. One delicious glass is packed with a rainbow of doctor-selected fruits and veggies to support your heart and kidney health, metabolism, and more. So even when you go for the burger instead of the salad, you will still be giving your body the good stuff that it needs daily. And during their St. Patty's Day sale, you can save some green while you drink your greens. Save 30% on all of their popular flavors and bundles when you use code LUCK. So whether Field of Greens is already part of your routine or even waiting to give it a try, now is your chance to save big. The sale's only on for a few days, so don't miss out. Go to fieldofgreens.com and use promo code LUCK. That's fieldofgreens.com, promo code LUCK. You know who's not having any luck right now? Because you can't do stuff in the dark that doesn't come to light? Emmanuel Macron. He's not. I'm sorry. I feel great about this, by the way. I feel great that it is just viral worldwide. You don't know why? Because I spent a year having people call me crazy, people smearing me, people lying, people that just didn't take the time to read what I had read. I get it. When stuff is in another language, you're kind of like, I don't even want to read stuff in English sometimes. I don't want to read this like French journalistic report or whatever. But me, I'm just nosy. And when I saw it and then I read it, I can tell you exactly where I was. I was in Miami at the time, about to head to a UFC fight. The first time that I read a report about Emmanuel Macron's wife being a man. And I literally, Savannah, my manager, I was in my hotel room, like in a robe, and I text her, I'm like, you need to come over right now. Come to my room right now. Could you imagine working with criminals? This is insane. And she comes over and I'm like, listen, Brigitte Macron, she's a man. She's a man. And she's like, what? I sent her a link. I'm like, sit down. We got to read this. And then I saw PBD, Vinny. We were so immersed in this conversation at the UFC fight that Ivanka Trump, Jared, everyone who walked by and tried to say hi to us, Trump was there that night. I was like, I don't have time. I don't have time to talk about anything else. And this is a true story. And then me and Vinny just sat in a corner and talked about this the entire fight while famous people just walked by us and everyone wanted pictures with them. And I just wanted to talk about Brigitte. And so to go through that and then to fast forward to getting that legal letter and having essentially to be threatened by a G7 leader and who was basically betting that I would be like, ooh, I'm so scared. And actually, it just made me angry because I was too pregnant for that, to now seeing the entire world who has watched this series, embracing it and realizing this was not a little story, this was a massive one, is amazing. It feels good. It feels like the truth catching up with the lies. And again, we see the media being defeated, the media calling everybody a conspiracy theorist, being defeated because that's the truth. The truth is a lion. That's the famed expression. Let it go and it will defend itself. And so Tucker Carlson was interviewing Clayton Morris of Redacted on his Friday show, and Becoming Brigitte came up, and here is the clip. Take a listen.
The one story that I have seen in the past few years that I was just like, I can't go there. that's just flat Earth stuff, is the Brigitte Macron, Emmanuel Macron, President of France's wife, was accused first by French journalists and then by my friend Candace Owens, who's one of the nicest people I've ever met, actually.
Yeah, she's
very
incredible.
smart.
She's incredible.
She, and everyone's always, Candace Owens a hater. Candace Owens is the opposite of a hater, but she's a very kind person. But anyway, but she comes out and she's like, I will wager my professional credibility on the claim that Macron's wife is actually a man. And I was like, oh, Candace Owens, I love you, but I think this is too crazy.
Yeah.
And then it turns out she's right.
Yeah.
What is so? Can you just explain? My mind is blown.
Well, my wife has been, by the way, the Candace Owens pieces on this are phenomenal. And so I'll be sitting there, my wife, I'm like, what are you watching? She's like, I'm watching Candace Owens' whole deep dive on this. So let's give credit, I'm giving full credit to Candace Owens on this for really opening this story up from the French journalists who first broke it and then were, I think, like ostracized or basically told not to report it. So that, yeah, I mean, he's a groomer. So, like, I mean, the fact that Emmanuel Macron was a child and this man takes him under his wing and is a groomer, uses the identity of another human being. I mean, I'm definitely shortening the story in all of these ways, but I don't know the full details the way that Candace does for sure. But Brigitte Macron is a man who groomed Emmanuel Macron.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a fact, and it's just amazing to just see this go mainstream after, like I said, all the harassment. And by the way, I sound like such a baby saying that because it was really Natasha Ray and Xavier Poussard, again, those amazing French journalists that dealt with more than just being called crazy or being canceled by the mainstream media, who they lie for these powerful people. This is what their job is to lie full time and to gaslight the public against pursuing truth. Like, once you get close to recognizing what they're doing, you get called a conspiracy theorist. And so to see this go mainstream, I said to the people today, I feel like I'm like Steve Urkel right now. Here's the clip. Did I do that? That's how I feel. And I'm like, did I do that? Yes, I did. And what's so funny, again, this just shows you how evil never works. It never works out in the end to be a liar or to be evil, because I was only going to do one episode on Brigitte. And I met with Xavier Poussard, did that interview with him, was only going to do one episode. And then my pregnant butt waddled outside and there was a 100-page legal letter being served to me. And I was like, game on, let's go war. I suddenly 300 style. I was like, you want to play? Let's go. Let's do this. And so that's how we got here. It's just because he got the worst advice ever. So it's amazing to see that. And I want to tell you guys also, beyond this, the book, Becoming Brigitte, which in French is Devenir Brigitte. Like I said, all of the proceeds for this book, I named the series Becoming Brigitte, and Xavier Poussard, that book is completely owned by him. It has been #1 in France for weeks. Okay. It is still the #1 book in France, and he deserves it so much. I mean, his reporting, he gave up 8 years of his life to this. I mean, do you understand what that means to give up 8 years of your life to anything? And so it's amazing. And I do want to also show this clip from Tucker's conversation, because it is also true that we're recognizing this. Take a listen.
Are you hopeful at all that we're going to get in these JFK documents
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I was never interested in the Kennedy assassination. It was overcovered, and it seemed like the kind of territory of wackos and conspiracy nuts.
Well, that's where the term came from.
Oh, I know. Well, then, of course, it's not ignorance that makes you a conspiracy nut. It's knowledge, which I didn't know. I was such an idiot.
That's a great point.
I still am an idiot in some ways, but I've
welcome to
learned
the club. Welcome to the club.
But
that is actually such a powerful statement. It is not ignorance that makes you a conspiracy nut. It's knowledge. And that, like, I just feel like that should be echoed 1,000 times, throw it on a t-shirt, put it on a hat, because that is the reality of things, is that once you become tremendously knowledgeable about any one subject, you suddenly recognize just how dumb you were before. And I love the repeat humility that Tucker expresses. And I try to do the same, where I'm like, guys, I don't know anything, but I promise you I'm interested enough to hear things and to conduct my own research and to investigate things and to give you guys everything that I have. And when I bring something to you, I hope you have enough trust to know that I would never just say stuff. Like I wouldn't just say stuff. Like I want to just do hood rat stuff on the friend, hood rat stuff with my friends on the internet, but I don't just say stuff. And that's why I staked my entire professional career on the Becoming Brigitte series. And the reward was I got canceled, and now look at the series everywhere. And the implications they're far reaching. I want you guys to be clear. This is not just viral in France, viral in America, viral in the UK, the story. It's even viral in Russia. People are now considering it as a part of their political dialogue and analyses, judging Emmanuel Macron's current actions because he's gone completely unhinged. It's like war, 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 war. And they're recognizing, okay, he seems like he's come undone. And there might be a reason for this. It's because the world is finding out about the person who groomed him. And an example of that is Russia's #1 evening news channel. And I'm going to play this clip for you. Obviously, it has subtitles. So if you guys are listening to this and you do not speak fluent Russian on just audio, don't worry. I'll summarize for you what they're saying. But they're essentially trying to assess why it is that he is behaving so arrogantly and angry. Take a listen, or a read rather, if you're watching.
Но есть еще одна мысль, почему Макрон ведет себя столь неугомонно шумно. Он словно человек, издавший неприличный звук. Шумно двигает стулья и звенит посудой, чтобы создать некое громыхание для смешения конфуза. У Макрона есть для этого основания. Кричащие подозрения по поводу их союза с Бриджит надо чем-то отвлекать. О нарастающем скандале наш политобозреватель Александр Христенко.
Одно из недавних совместных появлений на публике Эммануэля и Брижит Макрон. В Париж приезжал вице-президент США Венс, тоже с супругой. Те даже оказались в платьях схожего тона. Но если Уша Венс традиционно в роли сопровождающей, то с Брижит выходит иначе. Она сама неизменно становится центром внимания и обсуждения.
Я ставлю всю свою профессиональную карьеру на то, что Бриджит Макрон, первая леди Франции, была рождена мужчиной.
К давнему расследованию 3 французских журналистов теперь подключилась ультраправая американская активистка Candace, влиятельный блогер с аудиторией в 4 миллиона человек. Выпустила целую серию материалов, в которых утверждает, что вот этот мальчик на старом семейном фото по имени Жан-Мишель Траньо не брат Бриджит Макрон, а она и есть.
Well, I didn't realize how amazing my name sounds in a Russian accent. Candace Warns, Candace Warns, Candace Warns. I like that. That's very strong and powerful. Essentially, just to sum up what he's saying there, is that they're recognizing that in his behavior worldwide, Emmanuel is acting boisterous. He's acting agitated. You can sense something's wrong. This is not unlike what we were saying about Ryan Reynolds, right, in the monologue. We're talking about when there is a secret and when people are worried about people uncovering a certain secret, they can behave quite evil and erratic. Yeah. And they're saying that on the political stage, this is Emmanuel Macron right now. And the reason why he's behaving that way is because he wants to divert attention away from the scandal. And that's why he's just saber rattling. Then it summarizes, the rest of that just goes on to summarize our series, Becoming Brigitte. So for those of you who have not watched it, I don't know what you're doing. You absolutely must watch it. I'm really proud of that work. Like I said, I mean, me and the team spent just so many hours on that. And that's one fraction of the work that the French journalists did. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen, get started. You will not be able to look away. And by the way, speaking of saber rattling, as a response to their anger with America, I guess, France is big mad. One French deputy wants the Statue of Liberty back. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. Check out this headline in the French AP. French deputy asks for the return of the Statue of Liberty. Raphael Glucksmann, who's a member of the center-left Place Publique party in France, demanded on Sunday that the United States return the Statue of Liberty, accusing us of siding with tyrants. I'm sure because we showed a clip of the Russians or something, and they want this Ukraine war to go on forever is what it's really looking like. And Glucksmann, who is a staunch defender of Ukraine, spoke at the party convention. He took time to scold the U.S. for what he viewed as our shifting position on our values. And he said, quote, "Give us back the Statue of Liberty. We're going to say to the Americans who have chosen to side with the tyrants, to the Americans who fired researchers for demanding scientific freedom, give us back the Statue of Liberty. We gave it to you as a gift, but apparently you despise it, so it will be just fine here at home." Okay, it really sounds like a Will Ferrell skit. Give us back the Statue of Liberty. It was a gift, Todd. I'm keeping the painting. Feels like a Vince Vaughn skit there. But the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, says the Statue of Liberty is not going back. Here is what she said when asked about it.
There is now a member of the European Parliament from France who does not think the U.S. represents the values of the Statue of Liberty anymore. They want the Statue of Liberty back. So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
So two things I would say. Cute, but also they could argue that we wouldn't have America if it wasn't for them. Obviously, Washington, they sent over their troops. Also, why not? Let them have it back. If I was press secretary, I would be like, okay, come get it. First of all, because it'd be funny to just watch them take it. Secondly, it's crowded, it's dirty. And third, I don't even know what it stands for. Now that I'm relearning history, everything we were told about the Statue of Liberty is even a lie. It's a Freemasonic symbol about conquering the nations. We're supposed to be told that that represents Libertas, which a Roman goddess that's supposed to stand for liberty. Nope. Why is she holding fire? I'm pretty sure it's Luciferian, the bringer of light. We'll get there in my book club, guys. But I'm telling you, the Statue of Liberty is not all it's cracked up to be. It is Freemasonic. It's about the Freemasons. And I would be very glad when you elect me to be the dictator of the United States, which I see in the future, hopefully within the next 8 years, they can have that back because it's funny. It'd be funny to watch them on a boat, like tug that all the way back to France. I literally don't care. Guys, there'd be less traffic in New York and like whatever. Like, I also feel like the elevator is always broken. That's fine. You can have it back. Anyways, I'm not the president. But showing you all of this to let you know that liars are angry, okay? They are losing the thread. They are big mad. I'm talking big mad. You can just see it in their headlines. Give us back the Statue of Liberty. Give it la. And there have been so many concerted attacks against Tucker Carlson, me, Ian Carroll, Joe Rogan, the free media, the people that left legacy media and are just like, or maybe never were there, Joe Rogan and Ian Carroll, but we're just like, we just want to talk. Like, we just want to be able to speak to people like regular people, not to lecture them, not to assert ourselves as the authority in things, and to have interesting conversations. Like I just said, I would love to have a person over to speak about the real origins of America, because we were lied to about that. It was Freemasons just warring for our country. And I learned that kind of becoming a Catholic. And my English priest looked at me and said, "You Americans know absolutely nothing about your own history. You know nothing about the Freemasons." And he said it in this really snobby British accent. And I thought it was very interesting. And people are angry. They don't want these conversations to happen. And so now they are dropping their perspective, their premise, which is everyone I don't like is Hitler. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this meme. It's really funny. It's everyone I don't like is Hitler, a child's guide to online political discussion. And it's funny because it's true. It's true that this is how they're just calling everyone anti-Semitic. It doesn't even make sense. How does this even have to do with anti-Semitism? Look at these headlines. Ready? This is the Washington Examiner. The rise of Jew-hating right-wing influencers threatens the GOP. What's amazing about all of these articles is they're written by people who were either not in the GOP at all, were never Trump, being like, we need to expel these people from the MAGA party. And like, who are you? You're not the MAGA party. Like, let's expel Tucker Carlson from the MAGA party. That Washington Examiner guy wrote in that article, it reads, quote, Joe Rogan has 14.5 million followers on Spotify. About 11 million people reportedly download each episode. To put that into context, Fox News, which dominates cable news, averaged about 2.38 million viewers during prime time in 2024. Rogan, as we witnessed during the 2024 presidential race, is now a media broker. How does he normalize anti-Semites? Well, on March 1st, Rogan's guest was a legendary comic actor Bill Murray. On March 4th, he interviewed guitarist and lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan. Then, on March 5th, he slipped in independent researcher Ian Carroll, an unhinged anti-Semitic activist who went from obscurity to over 1 million followers on X in a short time. Like, none of that's true. That's not what Ian Carroll is. He just speaks about topics that doesn't support Israel. Like, that's pretty much what it comes down to. And so you're just smearing him because you don't like the fact that he was platformed. And he didn't come from obscurity. He's been on TikTok for years, going over grocery store prices and amassing a following. He might be obscure to you. He isn't obscure to the TikTok audience. Here's another headline from Christopher Rufo, which I think I showed you guys, the anti-Semitic influencer problem. And this is where it talks about me, and it talks about Andrew Tate, and it talks about Tucker Carlson. Here's another one in the Daily Beast. Why MAGA must expel the podcast Pied Pipers of anti-Semitism, again written by someone who's not MAGA. It's like the most absurd thing you could ever imagine. You don't go here. You can't just walk into somebody else's school and tell them who to expel. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It's literally the Mean Girl scene, guys. She doesn't even go here. Danielle doesn't even go here. And here's another one from Mediaite. I don't even know if that's how you say it. I mean, they're ridiculous. This is George Soros's rag. It says Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, and the mainstreaming of anti-Semitism exposes a rot in American media. Oh my, no. Are we just speaking to people? Are people liking our content because we don't engage in what you do, which is just smearing and libeling and calling everybody who asks a simple question about why we just keep supporting everything Israel does? And then you just label us all conspiracy theorists and call us all Hitler. Like, people are watching our shows now, so they know you're lying. So when are you going to stop lying? Because the lying isn't helping you. So it's weird to me. It's like, I don't know. It's like a form of neuroticism. Like, you can't stop it. They can't stop lying, even though they're not winning from lying. Like, this is an actual headline in the Jerusalem Post from last year, which even pointed out that support, it's called Young Evangelical Support for Israel Plummets. Support for Israel among young evangelicals has plummeted by over 50% in just 3 years, posing a potential threat to American backing for the Jewish state. Okay, so this is what it's actually about. And let me just say this. Now, I don't purport to be a genius, but maybe it's plummeting because you keep lying. Maybe people don't like liars. Maybe people are tired of recognizing that you smear and you libel everyone. Maybe because you've done it to them. Maybe what happens over time is, like with me, because you smeared me and you lied about me, I don't believe anything you say. And then when you start smearing, you don't just smear me, to be clear. You don't just smear Joe Rogan. You don't just smear Ian Carroll. You're smearing everyone who follows us. People that are engaging in this show and watching this show and watching my Brigitte Macron series, watching the work that I do. Maybe they're here for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and then they go home and they turn on CNN or Daily Beast or whatever, read an article, and it says Candace Owens is Hitler. You're accusing them of supporting Hitler. Do you get that? Like, is the math not mathing for you guys? Like, do you realize that you're not just smearing the individual, you're smearing people that listen to them and enjoy the content? When you say Theo Von is, platforming anti-Semites, and then they watch me and Theo Von discussing McDonald's orders, which was very important. He gets 2 milk jugs at McDonald's. They don't believe you anymore because you're smearing them. You're calling them idiots. You become so authoritarian, you don't even recognize why no one listens to you or likes you anymore. This is dweeb logic. You guys are dweebs. That's what I want you guys to know. You're dweebs. And they're not to be confused with nerds. Nerds are cool. Steve Urkel's cool. Nerds are the people that go and study and do their work. Dweebs are people that think that they can keep influencing people by lying, okay? You're a dweeb. And I'm going to ask you to please stop dweebing. That's it. That's all I'm asking. You're not getting rid of Tucker Carlson. You're not here to start expelling people from MAGA. And you're certainly not going to convince the audiences worldwide that everyone who disagrees with you is Adolf Hitler. It's just annoying. It's like, just think harder than that. Anyways, before I get to any of your comments, I want to remind you about American financing because interest rates have finally dropped. It's time to take advantage. A lot of Americans are struggling to keep up with everyday bills, eggs, coffee, reaching for the credit cards to pay for small things like that. So if you are a homeowner, interest rates have indeed fallen into the 5s. That's nearly a quarter of the average credit card rate. American Financing is helping homeowners like you save an average of $800 a month by tapping into your home's equity and wiping out high interest debt. And the best part is there are no upfront fees to get started. Credit card rates are insane. So if you're carrying a balance every month, you're stuck in an endless cycle. You can break free today by calling American Financing and seeing how much you could be saving. And if you start right now, you may even be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So just call 800-795-1210. Again, the number is 800-795-1210. Or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. It's americanfinancing.net/Owens. Also, if you're looking at my skin going, are you glowing, Candace? Are you pregnant? Yes, but also, I've been using Nimi Skincare. That's been the big differentiator for me. I normally have terrible skin when I'm pregnant. It is not too late for you guys to jump on the Candace Nimi Skincare bandwagon. If you're ready to maintain that new year, new me momentum, look no further than Nimi. From gentle formulas to luxurious treatments, Nimi offers everything you need to keep your skin glowing. Right now, use code Candace10 at checkout and you'll enjoy 10% off your order. So whether you're pampering yourself, surprising a loved one, now is the perfect opportunity to try Nimi's transformative skincare at a great price, because Nimi is not just a beauty brand. They also celebrate faith, family, freedom. They're proudly made here in the USA. So if you're looking for something that's extra gentle, you can try their fragrance-free formulas. They're ideal for sensitive skin and those that are seeking a more pure approach to self-care. So use code Candace10 today at NimiSkincare.com. That's Nimi skincare.com. Promo code Candace10, and you'll save 10% on your purchase. Treat yourself. Give yourself or somebody else a gift of glowing, refreshed skin, and you are going to feel strong going into 2025. NimiSkincare.com. Promo code Candace10. All right, what are you guys thinking about all this? I'm just ranting at you all. That's what I'm doing. I'm just ranting at you every day. Allie writes, I would have loved to see you follow the Depp versus Heard case in this way. Glad you're covering Baldoni so closely. We don't believe all women. We believe truth. I actually did a lot with the Amber Heard case, which is why it's so funny that I guess people didn't follow me as much as when I was at the Daily Wire. I've always been very into culture, and Amber Heard from day one, I saw her coming. I can just look at a woman sometimes and I just know, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know, but I know, like spiritually, like we don't know, but I know. And that's how I felt. I looked at Amber Heard and I look at people, I'm like Kesha. I also was like, don't like it. Feel like we're not getting the full story here. And I felt that when I looked at Jessica Mann. If you guys are starting the Harvey series, I just looked at her and I was like, I just know. Like, I don't have the facts yet as I began looking into it, but I know that you are telling lies. Tanisha writes, I love you, Candace. Can we get a baby bump date? My husband and I are trying to have our 5th child, and I started him on a shot in the dark, and we will do things differently. Thank you for all that you do. No, I never show my baby bump. Like, I mean, I don't not show it, but I don't show it because I just feel like I don't look nice. I don't know. I just feel like I don't look nice. I just look little tubs, you know? I don't know. Clothes fit weird. How do I look? Skylar, say something nice to me in my ear. Tell me I look great. Thank you very much. Mark, tell me I look nice.
You look fantastic, Candace.
Aw, thank you so much. That's so kind. Savannah, say something sweet to me. Savannah says I look beautiful. Do you think they're under duress? Do you think people are under duress in the control room? I don't know. Maybe they are.
Absolutely not.
Thank you so much. I will use that in court if you guys come after me. Lune says you should come out with merch that says toxic positivity on it. Me and Justin Baldoni should do a line together. My cousin and me should have a toxic positivity line, a Standis cup, and we will sell it together. And he's not going to want to do any of these things because he's too nice, and he's not going to make fun of anything or have fun with anybody. He's just going to say something really nice when it all ends and thank everybody for their support and be all like perfect or whatever. It's very stressful being related to Justin Baldoni. It really is. I love him. I love him like a cousin, but he frustrates me with his kindness. Andre writes, thank you, Candace and George, for bringing truth, accountability, transparency, and common sense back. What did George do today? Huh? He's had me pregnant for 4 years. You're lucky I love that little London boy. All right, fine. I'll tell him that you said thanks. Christina Duncan writes, does no one remember the Family Guy episode where Stewie goes for a drive from 2011? Peter becomes uncomfortable with Ryan Reynolds' flirty behavior, strongly hinting at Ryan being gay. That is so funny because we pulled this at some point. Skylar, I think I showed it to you. Was it not you? It may have been somebody else brought that up to me and was like, oh, did you, like, Family Guy knows everything. And they did a whole skit, like, saying that Ryan Reynolds was gay. I don't know why Family Guy knows so much and why The Simpsons knows so much, but yeah, it's weird. And also, Family Guy actually brought that up today in my Piers Morgan interview. I actually didn't bring it up. It was in my head because Piers Morgan owes me money because we bet. He was one of the people that bet against me on the Brigitte series, and he's still denying it, guys. Like, Piers Morgan is like, oh, I said, Piers, you owe me $100,000. It's not subtle. And I thought of the Bryan and the Stewie skit where he's like, hey, man, where's my money? Where's my money? Psh, 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 psh. That's going to be me and Piers Morgan if one of you guys wants to mock up that skit, because I want my $100K. I think it was more. It might have been 150K. Piers Morgan owes me cash money. It's Archie writes, man, when he said straight men don't say that, I laughed so hard because he's so right. Yes, we all have cultural differences, and I never appreciated the fullness of that text until he read that. I adore you, he said. It was very funny. I thought it was lighthearted enough, and I thought that gays and straights would both find that to be hilarious. Yeah, Muffin writes, do you think Piers Morgan will admit you were right about Brigitte? I was ahead of you. I didn't know that question was coming, and the answer is no, he won't. He looked uncomfortable when I asked about my money, but like I will be in the UK. Do you think I can like legally file something? Do you think like I can I do something with that? Is there like somewhere I could go? I could probably take him into the court of law. Bryan Freedman as my lawyer. Oh my God. Oh, we will be like the pietistic bastion of the media establishment, Piers Morgan. The pietistic bastion thinks yes, that's the face. Can I split this face? Can I do this face with him? I'm the pietistic bastion. Yes, Piers Morgan is the pietistic bastion. And me and my lawyer, Bryan Freedman, we're coming for you. We are coming from you. That's it. That's a wrap, you guys. You can head to the website if you'd like to support independent media. Obviously, you can pre-order my book, Make Him a Sandwich, and also sign up for A Shot in the Dark. You can sign up for the book club. We're obviously still reading Chaos. Hopefully, we'll only be 2 more left before we move on from that book, but there's so much happening in that book, and there's so much to speak about. Also, by the way, Skylar, I don't know if you have this, but George said that we dropped our line, American Wife. Do you have that? That's cool. We can bring it for tomorrow. But if you go to the website, you'll see that we do have some new gear. You can stock up on your Candace gear. So anyways, I love you all. I love you all so much. And I will see you tomorrow.